Hello, welcome to episode 5 of this YouTube series, Building an Effective Productivity System. This week we're thinking about organising tasks, and I'm going to talk to you about how I organise ToDoist, which is my task management app of choice. Now, I've been using ToDoist for about 8 years or so, and there have been a few brief interludes where I've used OmniFocus or an app called To-Do. I've even tried building a full task and project manager in Notion, but I've always come back to Todoist. For me, I believe that Todoist is probably the best task manager out there on the market. It's not got the most features, but I say that I think it is the best. For me, it's got 3 big things going for it that make it stand out in a very crowded market. Yes, there are task managers with more features, and yes, there are some weaknesses in Todoist, but overall, I think these 3 things are what really make the difference for me. The first is simplicity and power. Todoist, it's not a complex app on the face of it, but it has a very intuitive interface. It's my view that anyone could open up Todoist, and even without any knowledge of how the app works, you could use it pretty effectively to get stuff done, even if you ignore 3/4 or more of the features available. It's incredibly easy to use. That being said, it is incredibly powerful as well. Natural language parsing, where the app recognises things like dates and priorities and projects and labels. It means that setting these things like due dates is just incredibly straightforward and incredibly fast. Keyboard shortcuts that are available within the app, some of which are global, you can use them whatever app you're using, mean that things like putting new tasks into Todoist, thoughts, ideas, it's near frictionless, both on a computer and on a mobile phone. And the searches and the filters that you can create with the application mean that you can actually create multiple different views to present your tasks to you however you want them. And that's really helpful as you organise your work and as you plan your time. The second big thing Todoist has is accessibility. It's available everywhere, on every device, and it's very reasonably priced. You've got native clients for Windows, for Mac, for Linux, iOS and Android apps, apps for smartwatches, a web app, and it's also, as I said, reasonably priced. A basic user could get by with the free version, but the paid version isn't that expensive either. And then the last big thing is part of the app's ease of use is the aesthetic of the interface. In the past, I've tried what I think is probably one of Todoist's closest rivals, which is an app called TickTick. TickTick is a wonderful app, very powerful, very similar to Todoist with a lot of the same features. And actually TickTick has a lot more features than Todoist does. But to me, the interface in TickTick is really cluttered, and it makes it harder to work with the app, to see and to read your tasks. With Todoist, the app is clean, it's uncluttered, and the fonts and colours available make it really pleasant and easy to use and work with. So I love this app, and Todoist is the app that I use every single day to manage all of my tasks. Now, before I go into Todoist and show you how I organise it, I just want to mention a few basic principles of task management for organising tasks. You see, throughout all of our work and all of our life, keeping track of what we need to do, where and when we need to do it, is increasingly becoming an essential part of everyday life. And here are some basic principles for how to do this well. Number 1, write everything down. As I've said before in my Capture Everything video, too many of us rely on our brains to remember things. You see, our brains, they're not designed to be faultless repositories of information, so don't rely on them to be. Write it down. Write your tasks clearly for your dumb future self. Call Dave. We write down an important task for tomorrow. Call Dave. But then tomorrow comes, and we can think of 5 people called Dave. We've got no idea what it is we need to call Dave about, and so no idea which Dave to call. Write your tasks clearly and assume that the person who's reading the task tomorrow is pretty clueless. I'd also say only give a task a date if you actually plan to do it then. You see, too often we give tasks due dates in our task manager just to keep the thing on our radar. We've got no intention of doing the task on Wednesday, but we still set it due on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, we can decide when we actually want to do it, or next be reminded of it. This is silly. Only set a date if you actually plan to do it on that date, and use your daily and your weekly planning times to remind yourself of everything that you need to do, so you don't need to keep these reminders coming in on your daily list. Don't overestimate how much you can do in a day. Now, your line of work and your life is going to determine how many tasks you can actually complete in one day. If it's 30, then I would say schedule 20 to 25 tasks. If it's 20, then plan in no more than 15. If you routinely complete 20 tasks in a day, then having 40 on your list for the day is a complete waste of time. You know you can't do the tasks that are on your list. You're setting yourself up for failure, so why plan them in? You see, we need to train ourselves to be a bit more ruthless here in keeping our daily lists realistic. And lastly, I would say don't create tasks that you don't need to create. Some tasks, we create them in our to-do list manager knowing full well we're never going to do them. Now, I'm not talking about things that you may possibly do someday, maybe in the far off future, but you've got no prospect of doing them now. Some tasks we create when we really don't need to, because we break things down into ever smaller chunks and they're unnecessarily too small. Some tasks we create for things that we just do by habit, and we've got no need of putting them in our task manager. Creating tasks you don't need just clutters up your list, and often the main reason why we do it is for that dopamine hit we get from checking off the task, and it makes ourselves feel more busy and more important than we actually are. So a fundamental principle when it comes to organising your tasks and your task list: keep it accurate, keep it clear, keep it realistic, and keep it clean. Those are the basic principles of task management. So now we're going to go into ToDoist, and I'm going to show you how I actually organise it at the moment. So here we are in ToDoist. I want to talk briefly to start with about what I actually put in ToDoist, because as you may have picked up, particularly on my videos about managing projects, not all of my tasks find themselves going into ToDoist, but most of them do. On the whole, I don't put project-related tasks in ToDoist. That's because the way I manage projects, the specific tasks for the project are in my Notes app within the project notebook, and ToDoist will just have a task in it telling me that I need to work on that particular project today, and then I'll go into the notebook and work on the project from there. So most of my project tasks don't find themselves coming into ToDoist. I am trialing something at the moment whereby some of my projects are finding themselves in ToDoist. I've just got a few projects coming in down here with some tasks in there. That's just a trial at the moment, and it's possibly not something I'm going to continue with, but I will keep you guys posted. So here in this folder here, time sectors, is my main organisation system. Now I should say this is not my system. This is Carl Pauline's system. It's his time sector system. You can find out about that on his YouTube channel. He's got a course that he does teaching how to set this up and how to run the time sector system, he calls it, in a multitude of different apps, not just ToDoist. And I also think he's got a book coming out, possibly even later this year. But this is the time sectors, and as you can see, the projects or the folders or whatever that I have in ToDoist are based on these time sectors: this week, next week, this month, next month, this term, and long term. Basically organising the tasks based on when I'm planning to do it. One of the things I really like about this system is all of these time sectors, if you think about it, they're relative. So next week is constantly changing. If there are tasks in next week that when I do my weekly planning session, I think to myself, I'm not going to do them this coming week, they can just stay in next week. But I'm making that decision every single week, and each time I do this planning session, I'll be moving tasks up through the time sectors. I also have this one, this recurring areas of focus. Again, this is from Carl Pauline's system. Now, what this is for tasks that I do every single week, pretty much. They're important tasks. They're not just routine tasks. And I'll just show you some of the things that are in there. So I've got Effective Faith Muses on this week at Effective Faith. That's to do with my newsletter. I try and do that every week. Record the YouTube video. That's what I'm doing now. And then things like weekly review, planning, and writing blog posts. So you can see the kind of tasks that go in there. That pretty much stays the same. Not much gets added to that. Not much gets taken out. Those tasks just recur. All of my tasks pretty much will go into one of these time sectors or recurring areas of focus, or this routines folder. So routines, I've got a few sub-projects in there: daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Those would be for things like sweep the kitchen floor, cut the grass, get a haircut. Routine tasks, things that need to be done, but they're not particularly important. And so every task that's in ToDoist will be in one of these folders. When it comes to projects, as per the video I did on projects, the project tasks are in my Notes app. During my daily planning or my weekly planning, I'll copy them from my UpNotes command hub, but I would just copy the notebook links within UpNote, and I've already planned these projects for today, and then I would go to ToDoist and I would just copy those two tasks in. And these tasks, if I click on them, that will use the UpNote link and take me into UpNote, into the project notebook. And this is the only label that I tend to use, is this one, just to signify when those tasks show up on my to-do list that these are projects that I'm working on and not individual tasks. So that is how I will organise ToDoist, how I organise the various lists. The main thing is how I prioritise my day, because what you do day to day is what really matters. Again, I copy this from Carl Pauline. I use his 2+8 prioritisation system. So from my to-do list, I'll go into my to-do list. There's just a few tasks left in there today. Some of these I won't actually do. But I would choose 2 objectives, and let's say it was these 2. I would give those priority 1. I would normally choose 8 focus tasks, which are important tasks that I want to get done. The objectives must be done. The focus tasks are kind of what would happen next. I tend to give them priority 2 if they're things that I would want to do in the morning. And I would tend to give them priority 3 if they're things that I would want to do in the afternoon. And then by the time we get to the evening, I'm back at this to-do list anyway to sort of mop up everything that's left. On to filters and labels. I tend not to use labels day to day, except for the project one that you just saw a moment ago. I might create labels for a specific purpose and then remove them when I'm done. One of the things I love doing is if I'm looking at my list of things and thinking, okay, here are the 5 tasks that I want to do right now, I might just throw a label at them and then just work from that label just to filter out everything else. And then once I'm done, I would just delete the label because I don't need it anymore. Filters, however, are much more important to me, and you'll see that everything in my favourites box is a filter. This is ToDoist symbol for filter here. Today's focus is my default filter. This is where ToDoist comes when I open it up, and this is where I spend the vast majority of my day. This is just any task that is priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, and due today. And they're just grouped by priority. So you'll see that the objectives are at the top, then the morning tasks, then the afternoon tasks, and I also have my end of day planning in today's focus as well. And if it was the morning, at the top here, there would be a morning planning task up here as well. Today's objectives is just if I really want to focus on those 2 tasks. Core work today is another one that I sometimes use. The filter here is basically any task that is due today and not one of these routine tasks. So the reason why there's only 3 in there is because some of these focus tasks are actually from my routines folder. Tomorrow and tomorrow's focus, they get used in planning. So when I get to the end of the day and I plan tomorrow, these 2 filters come in. So both of these will bring in tasks that are left over from today and the tasks that are due tomorrow. Basically, tomorrow just replicates the default today list, but bringing in tasks from today and tomorrow's focus replicates today's focus, but bringing in tasks from today and tomorrow. And as I said, I use these two filters every single day when I'm planning my next day. And then I have a filter here for every single one of the time sectors. You can see I've got this week, next week, this month, next month, this term, and long term. The reason why I have these as filters rather than just using the projects here is for two reasons. Firstly, because using a filter means that in my favourites column, if I favourite a project, that will always go to the top above the filters. So I create a filter for it so that I can order it the way I want it to be ordered based on the order of the filters. If I move that, then they switch around there, you see. That's one reason. The other reason is because, as I said, I'm trialing this thing with projects, and I'll show you in the template project. I've actually organised the project with sections based on the time sectors. And then if I go to the filter, you'll see, if I click on edit the filter, that this brings in anything that is in my this week project or any task from any project in the this week section. So that basically means that this filter will bring in all tasks from all of my projects that are allocated to this week. And then all of these are just the same for next week, this month, next month. They're just the same basic principle for how the filter is set up. So there you have it. That is a very brief tour of how I organise my tasks, how I organise ToDoist. If you've liked this video, then please do hit that like button below. Subscribe to the channel. There's more videos on this productivity system to come. There's more UpNote videos to come as well. So please do subscribe to see those. And there's going to be a couple of other videos appearing somewhere on your screen, probably around about here now. So please do click those, watch those videos, and we'll see you next time on the next video. Thank you very much.